Baby, there it goes! Yay! It was like delayed, everybody. You don't
It
understand.
was. It was kind of weird.
Anyway, we are here to talk about Heard It Through the Grapevine, episodes 5 through 8. Yes, I do know we are a little behind, but we're doing 4 episodes at a time. You gotta give us a little leeway here, people.
Yeah, work with us.
Work with
Work
us a little bit. Just a little.
a tiny bit.
Alright, so we're basically actually just mostly going to focus on episode 8 because, well, episodes 5 through 7 happened. This drama does move a little bit slow. However, episode 8 had a whole bunch of stuff happen in it. So, and unexpected humor. I mean, this little subplot where we're all about Jung-ho going for his hair transplant because his hair loss is becoming too much was extremely gratifying for me. And I have no idea why. Maybe because
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I liked it too. There was a point, I think maybe the 35 minutes into it, I was like, okay, maybe we're spending just a little bit too much time on the hair transplant thing. I mean, it was funny, but I think ultimately there was a point to it, and they were basically concentrating on their vanity and how basically you can get in good with them if you appeal to their vanity. And that's kind of what happened with Sobom. Like, she knew, I think she kind of knows, like, as long as I kind of work with that, then I can get in. And she's absolutely right, apparently.
and that weird, strange noise of frustration that guy makes is so funny every time. It's kind of like when we were watching After School Lucky or Not, and there's the guy with the thing, and then you're like, this is the same thing, but in a noise.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Yeah, it's just kind of
I
like, okay.
swear to God, I'm sitting here going, what is that? What is that? It's just weird and epically funny, actually. And there's short people who should not be here. Go, tiny minion, go. Aria, seriously, go.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, we have children who are also into Heard Into the Grapevine, so, you know,
she
all
actually has
ages.
watched a few episodes, and I'm surprised she sat through them, to be honest. So the next big thing, I think, is when Bomb receives the necklace. For me,
Yeah.
which was maybe a little bit unexpected, I think.
Yes, unexpected, but it was unexpected in a way that made me really uncomfortable because I'm just kind of like, what now? Like the whole time I was thinking, like, what is this woman up to? Like, what horrible thing is she gonna do next? And I think like she really was trying in that moment. I think it's all gonna go to hell later on, but in that moment, I think she really was trying to make it work. But again, it's only because she was reminded that Sobom, like, you know, introduced herself to her friends and called her overwhelmingly beautiful, and you know, it's that whole vanity thing again. But
This woman embodies the hot and cold song, by the way. What is that, Katy Perry, baby? You're
yeah,
hot and you're cold, you're yes and you're no. That's basically this entire show, actually.
yeah, and I mean it's funny that you say Katy Perry because this woman seems In-Sung's mom seems like someone who is sorry to all Katy Perry fans out there. I don't know if you guys have a name, but she definitely seems just as vain and and just really, if she was not married to this man and married into this family, she probably would not be as significant or as noticeable as people have made her out to be. And I'm just calling it what it is, which is probably why she's so secure about everything. It's just probably why you have to play up to her vanity. Because really, she wanted all these crazy things she was doing. She's like just going off on people. It was all about she wanted to go off on her husband because her husband is such a jerk. He just is. He's a jerk and he just does really dumb things. So, you know, like she was crazy because he makes her crazy.
Well, and speaking of dumb things, were you uncomfortable with this whole evaluation of Bomb's potential?
I mean, anytime someone takes it on themselves to determine whether you're special or not, it's going to make me uncomfortable. It's like, I'm really weirded out by that. I mean, she passed with flying colors, but God forbid she didn't. I mean, God knows what they would have done next.
I feel really bad for Song in that moment because it's like, what do you do? He's so in love with this girl, and yet they're going to keep testing her. It's going to happen again and again and again, and it's never going to stop. That's the thing, and I hope that eventually he realizes it.
Yeah, and I think he is getting to that point. To be honest, I'm actually surprised. Insung is a lot more observant than maybe I gave him credit for, because he was the first one that kind of pointed out that they were completely ignoring them as parents. And so ultimately they, he kind of said like they're ignoring us as far as when we're allowed to see our child, as far as how we're supposed to raise that child. Like, he acknowledged that. And then they kind of started fighting back in their own little way. So I give him credit for that. I really do.
Well, and that even stems back to the first episode when he decides that he's going to take responsibility for this, even though, holy crap, this girl I haven't seen in like, well, it has to be like 9 months because she's about to have a baby, but just walks in and, yeah, she's pregnant. Okay, I'll do this. I'll take her to my parents. We'll figure this out. And that, I appreciate that in a character, especially one that's supposed to be so young.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of young, we are just touching on it, I think, in the last maybe 7 and 8. But, it's so easy. I think the last time we spoke about this show, we were talking about how if there's any couple that we can really like come behind, it's them, because they really are genuinely in love, and you can only appreciate that. But then now the fact that they already have a baby, they're married, and they're so young. Now you're starting to see the different worlds they're kind of coming from and how that kind of has to come together. And I think that's important. I was wondering if we were going to touch on that. I knew we were, but I didn't know when. So you kind of saw them kind of having to navigate that a little bit, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come, but to see them go through that, have their little quarrel, he's sleeping on the couch, everyone freaked out about that, which I thought was pretty funny, and ultimately having to figure out a way to make it work, I thought that was really, really sweet, but I know that's not the end of it. I know there's going to be more.
Definitely not the end of it, but it's going to have to be something they do because the decision was so sudden and so rash. They haven't had any time to adjust to each other. And now there's also this third party in addition to, the other 16 that come along as baggage.
Oh, my God.
So I think they're going to realize at some point that it's them and this baby. Everybody else can just, bow out. It's fine. But the most important thing is going to be this central unit. And once they figure that out and focus on each other, it'll actually work out really well. Then at the end of episode 8, we get to the most heartbreaking thing I have seen so far, which is Bomb recollecting everything that happened. Like, we never understood what happened with her family because they never brought it forward. We started with Insang's side. So this whole scene of, no, you can't do this, you need to have an abortion, and them finally coming to an understanding.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't say that I cried, but I may have felt a little sting in the back of my eyes just a little bit during that part. I mean, you're right. I mean, we've only really concentrated on Insung's family ever since we started. So, I mean, it was nice to kind of jump into that and just to kind of get a glimpse of what she's had to go through. I think that's important. And it also made me feel a little bit better because in the beginning I was so angry with Sabum in the beginning because I was like, why would you at least not tell him so that he's not, showing up 9 months later to find out that you're pregnant with this kid and you're about to drop it? Like, why would you not say that? But I get it now. It makes sense. I get it.
Well, and there's especially the part where they're demanding to know who the father is, and the only explanation she can give them is he's not a bad guy. And that kind of speaks volumes. Most people would totally have been, it's this guy and blah, blah, blah. And well, yes, because she is young enough, she probably should have told them who the dad was. Mm-hmm. At least she was living up to her promise.
Right.
And that speaks volumes for her character. Yes, the decision ultimately was misguided, and yes, eventually we do find out who the dad is, obviously, because that's the whole premise of the show.
Sure.
But I think it proved to her family that this kid is not just gonna roll over. And so when they go and he does show up, and that's why it's such a big deal to them. Mm-hmm. I understand that when they finally find out she has the baby, and how the mom was so distraught over everything, because they've done this. They've come through this whole journey, and now we're just thrown into the one side of it. But I like that we were finally given the other side of everything.
Yeah, the other side, I absolutely agree. And then also there's that part where you kind of feel bad, and I already felt bad about this, but I felt worse because Sobom, ever since she's had that kid, she's basically been locked in Insong's house ever since. And like her parents, her family have not been able to spend time with her or the kid, and it's like they're kind of being robbed of that experience. And after knowing all of that, it's just like, oh, it just kills you. Oh, it's just like, oh man, like all this moment that they've all been kind of leading up to this child finally being born, and now they don't even get to experience it. It's like, oh, just kill me now already.
All right, so that's a wrap, everybody. Yay!
Yay!
We will
I
see
know
you again
this was
for
awesome.
episodes 9 to 12. Yeah, I think that's what it'll be.
Mhm.
9 to 12 shortly. I mean, we have to go with airing times here, but we'll try and make it out. So let us know what you think about Heard It Through the Grapevine, or if there's any other shows. And yes, we did get your request for Puberty Medley, and we are watching it. I'm done, but I'm still waiting because it won't be fun if it's just me talking about it. But
I
it will
mean,
be up soon, I promise.
yes, it will. Promises, promises, promise.
So we'll see you all next time. Bye!
Bye.